Welcome to Stay Visionary podcast with your host, Ed Moran of Visionary AI Partners. Today's guest, Lindsay Friedman, founder and senior care advisor at LTCareNav in Cleveland, Ohio, a mission-driven innovator using AI to help families navigate the complexities of long-term care planning. We dive into Lindsay's personal story, the evolution of LTCareNav, and how intelligent automation is changing how we plan for aging. Let's dive in. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Lindsay, can you share your background and what motivated you to found LTCareNav?
Yeah. So I actually began in the space of caregiving actually right out of high school. I worked at an assisted living, a memory care unit. And early on, I was like, this is what I want to do. So I was in business school at the time and I figured I'd be a nurse because I really wanted to help care for people. Turns out I don't like blood and anything that's like needles, that whole thing. It's not my thing. So but I still really wanted to do something with caring. But either way, I had a business degree. So I actually went into technology. I had a brief stint as a writer. And through my years of being the one who, with the caregiving background, when it came time to taking care of my grandma, I became the family caregiver. And that actually was the most pivotal point for me is if you haven't been a family caregiver, it's really hard to experience, even as a home health aide or a nursing assistant, what it's like to care for your family until you live that. And during that time, we had a bunch of incidents, and out of that experience, I created a company called CareBloom, which is a family caregiving support tool, which is actually available now and is super helpful for families. And I've been working that company. It launched in 2017. We are working with tons of families across the country. And while working with them, the one thing that seemed to be universal is while we were providing this really great product to help them keep their family at home, everybody was still telling me, how am I going to pay for this? What do I do? How do I know when it's time for mom to go to assisted living or a nursing home? How do I understand that? And how do I plan to pay for it? And that is where LTCareNav was born, was to meet the needs of those folks.
Walk us through your early career path and really how you arrived. You talked about right out of high school. Tell us about the intersection of senior care and technology.
So that really started with CareBloom. So the story with my grandma is we actually had help at night because she had long-term care insurance, which was very beneficial for our family. So we had care at night. And one of the main things we had told the nursing assistants to do was stay in the room with her. And my grandma was saying, hey, they're not in the room with me at night. They're leaving. And we'd ask them and they'd say, no, we're there. We promise. And we went back, and one night, my grandma got up during the night. The woman was not there. And she got up and she fell and she broke her femur. Yeah. And that really was the end of her life. And so what I really started to think about was like, how could I have made sure she was there? Because obviously the easiest way at the time would have been for me to be there. Cameras weren't really an option way back at this point. Like it wasn't something that was well received. And I went on a mission of like, what kind of technology could I have had to ensure that this person was actually with my grandma? And that's actually one of the things that CareBloom does now is we actually let you know where the caregiver is in proximity to your loved ones.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it was really about figuring out how I could use technology to solve a problem that we had that my grandma was not alone in. This is a very common problem.
Was that your like aha moment?
Yes. So I knew there was an issue in caregiving in general, and it really started off as a compliance tool, but it's not as real until you're there, until you see what if I had this, everything would be different and better. And so it was very much like, I need this. Everybody needs this. So We went on a long path of R&D to build something that meets all these needs.
Excellent. What were major challenges you face in launching LTCareNav?
Right now, I think the biggest challenge is education. My goal with LTCareNav is to democratize long-term care planning and long-term care in general. And I think the biggest disconnect for why people don't plan is that they don't understand. It's a very convoluted form of healthcare, whereas most people are assuming, like, I have insurance, I have Medicare or Medicaid, something will cover this. And Medicare does not cover it. And so people get into a situation that's too late to really plan wisely. And so I think the biggest challenge we have is educating people so they can plan early enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people are lost when it comes to this stuff, including myself. I have an elderly mother myself, and sometimes the complexities of it. It's nice to have something or someone that could really guide you through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking back, was that the biggest pain point as a founder running LT CareNav, or what was the biggest pain point?
That's probably my biggest pain point is really reaching people and educating them so that my users aren't already in that like frantic moment of I need assisted living, I need care today. And that is kind of our big push going forward is getting people early enough so there's a lot of options on the table to protect them both financially and ensure that they get better care.
And how are you doing that?
Podcasts. I wrote a book that is available on Amazon called Plan Today, Protect Tomorrow.
Okay.
So, a lot of educational approaches on why it's never too early to plan, why head in the sand thinking of, well, I'll live with my son or daughter, or not me, I'm not going to need it. Why that sort of thinking is getting in everybody's way. Like we plan our Thanksgiving dinner that we just had, right? We plan on how we're going to pay for our kids to go to college. But for some reason, this doesn't seem to fall into the normal things we plan for. So I'm trying to really change that.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we don't plan for that stuff? Our parents and it seems to be missing, like you were just explaining. Why do you think that is?
It's not fun. It's not, I mean, right? It's not fun to talk about getting old and needing help and losing independence. That's not something we enjoy wanting to plan for. That's not something we want to put our money aside for, right? So I think taking that and changing how we think about it is important to I may not love that I'm doing this for where I'm going to end up, but what I'm doing is I'm protecting my children. So maybe if we kind of have a different mindset of this isn't fun, I don't want to get like this, but I'm going to make sure my kids don't have the burden.
So more education, more getting these things out there is helping turning things around with the mindset of taking care of your elderly.
Yeah. And we have a long way to go.
Yes. Yes. In your view, what are the biggest operational inefficiencies in long-term care that AI can help address?
So for us, it's really the planning. Planning is expensive. So we are utilizing AI to take the data, crunch the numbers, and get you a really, really robust plan.
Mhm.
And that is how we are utilizing it. And actually, in Care Bloom, we're utilizing it to understand the data as well. I think with CareNav, that's sort of where our AI kind of innovation ends because our next step is to actually put you in touch with people who can help that are in your price range. And in long term care, I think AI is taking a heavy lift and some financial burden off of folks. but it really is still a caring community. So you do still need people. And I think that's one of the things that we do well is connect to vetted professionals that can help.
And how do you plan to take that next step?
So we are onboarding numerous professionals come January in all sorts of fields to match folks with, be it by zip code, by price range, by need, because sometimes you might need an estate attorney versus an elder care attorney versus a financial planner versus insurance. So there's very specific needs. And what we do is we analyze and we make sure you're getting put to the right person. We also are a one-on-one. We are matching you with one person. We do not, this is not an overwhelming experience. We're not something like a place for mom that drives massive leads. We really want to make sure everything we are providing is of value.
So you're like a one-stop shop where somebody could come to you and really, for these situations, surrounded by the elderly, you can recommend and put them in the correct spot for their needs.
Exactly.
Excellent. How do you balance the human side of care, empathy, family demand, and with the automated algorithmic side of planning?
Actually, by doing just that is we take the AI, we take the algorithms to really understand what you need. That is where AI is doing a really beautiful job, right? It is analyzing and creating content in a way that we have never been able to do in our history. And that's what we're using it for. But again, like we drive to a person who we have vetted, who we have talked to, who we know is their mission matches ours to provide the best care that we can. And that's how we're doing it, is making sure that everybody is well-meaning and of value and matches up for the person what they need.
So that leads me to my next question. Where is LTCareNav going in the next 6 months to a year in terms of growth, product roadmaps, market expansion? You've talked a little bit about it, but can you expand on that?
Yeah. So you at today can go on the site, create a long-term care plan, really understand the data. We give some really detailed analysis. It takes a long time to go through a profile. It's not super simple to digest. We know there's a lot of information there. We have on the site right now an AI chatbot that understands what your data is, where you are on your page, and you can ask that initial questions. And as of right now, if you have more questions, I am a senior care advisor, so you can reach out to me. And I'm happy to have conversations and point you in the right direction to people that we know we're onboarding next year. And so that is one option as of right now. As of January, we have a few hundred people who are coming on the site that I have spoken to. I have spent weeks doing interviews and like one-on-one conversations with all of these folks to make sure I really believe in everybody who's coming on. So that is our big rollout next year, is making sure those professionals are there, getting them what they need to connect in a way that is meaningful. And from there, we're really going to be doing a big educational push about why this is needed and why we really are mission oriented. We want to make sure you have what you need to plan accordingly. And people have asked me why I'm giving it away for free to users. And that is why.
And this is all across the U.S.
It is.
They can read. It's not just in Cleveland area. This is really the whole U.S.
Yes. And I have coverage across the country for the professionals that we're bringing on.
Excellent. For other leaders in senior care, what is the one actionable piece of advice you'd give them about adopting AI powered solutions to improve outcomes in the industry you're in?
Use it wisely and don't think it can do everything is probably the biggest thing, is make sure you're using it in a smart way. There's a lot of like cool ways to use AI,
Yes.
right? There's so many cool things you can do. Like I have a friend who like sends me videos of like he made a frog star in the Titanic or something. And I'm like, what? That's fun, right?
Right.
But use it wisely. Make sure that everything has a purpose and a reason and that you're adding value. And don't forget that it's still a human centric.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to promote? You talked about your book a little bit. They could get it on Amazon.
Yep.
What other things, while we're here, can you promote for the audience?
Really, LTCareNav, like go to LTCareNav.com, sign up. It is absolutely free. There's no gimmicks, there's no tricks, there's no hidden payments. This is here to help you. And then you can take the next steps after you have the information. And the other thing is if you are a family caregiver and you're in the midst of it and you're not quite sure how you're going to get through your next day, you should visit carebloom.com because it really is a beautiful support tool that makes caregiving easier for everybody.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lindsay, for sharing your story and insights with us today on Stay Visionary Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode with anyone passionate about innovation, leadership, or the future of intelligent automation. I'm Ed Moran, and as always, stay visionary.